This video is part one, how to sleep better. It's from this book right here, Prevent and Reverse Parkinson's Disease and Chronic Fatigue Syndrome by me, Pete Rogers. Okay, so when I was a college wrestler, I would have an intense workout every day for about 3 hours in wrestling practice. And as soon as I put my head on the pillow, boom, I sleep and I wouldn't wake up until 8-9 hours later. Time to go to class. Why do they have classes at 8 o'clock in the morning? That's insane. Okay, now that I'm older, I wake up, I would say it depends, okay? No, and I don't have depends, okay? But I would say if I'm by myself, I usually wake up about twice a night. If I got my woman in the bed, I'm going to wake up 3 or 4 times a night. It also depends how much I eat or drink that night. So I try not to, when I say drink, I mean water, okay? How much I have to void. And another thing too is, if you're by yourself, a queen mattress is plenty big enough. But if you got your girlfriend or wife in the bed, it's nice to have a king-size mattress because you got your own little spot. There's an indentation in the bed. You just fall into it like a pocket and you sleep better, okay? So a queen-size mattress is a little small, And, sometimes the other person's snoring or breathing heavy or kicking you or something. So it's, you always want them. It's great to have them in the bed for making the two-back beast, okay? But, get a king mattress for sleeping with them. Okay, let's see what else. Another thing too is it's not just the prostate being big. A lot of people have mercury amalgams in their teeth, and they have what is called micromercurialism, and that causes a little bit of irritation of their bladder and makes them get up and have to void more often. So if possible, take good care of your teeth and don't end up getting mercury amalgams because they're silver. They call them silver fillings, but they're really 50% mercury. Let's see, what else? Oh, a good book here. We'll start out. Here's sort of the big dog in sleep research is this guy right here, Dr. Martin Moore Eady, MD, PhD. And he's a guy who was a surgery resident at Harvard, and he kept falling asleep during cases, and then he quit surgical residency and went and got a PhD and became a sleep researcher to figure out why did he keep falling asleep. Yeah, because surgery residents will have him on call every other night. They're exhausted. Okay, and that was back in around 1970. Nowadays they eased up because there's all these women in medicine, so they made everything easier in terms. And don't get me wrong, it was brutal. It was insane. When I was applying for residency at that time, the University of Duke was considered like one of the best, if not the best, surgical programs in the whole United States. And they used to brag that almost every single one of their surgeons was divorced. Okay, I've also heard that women like marrying surgeons because they tend to be workaholics. And they tend to make a lot of money, so she just gets to spend the money. And then she doesn't have to deal with the guy at home bugging her. So it's a good deal for the woman. And even still, they divorce him. Okay, it's kind of like the guy feels, if you spend time with her, she's yapping at you and mad at you. And if you don't spend time with her, then she's mad that you ignore her. So you're not going to win either way. She just wants a reason to be mad. Okay, so anyways, this is a pretty decent book, The Light Doctor by Martin Eady. He's got a lot of videos on YouTube talking about what he views as important for sleep. He's a guy who sort of was one of the biggest expert to figure out circadian rhythms. When I saw his name as hyphenated, I thought, what a wimp, getting your wife's name, but maybe he's Hispanic. Okay, it's a good book. Okay, so here's a little bit about the color wavelengths. So the bottom line is your brain perceives blue as daytime. So you don't want blue lights around your house at night because they make your brain think it's daytime and then you won't produce melatonin to facilitate sleep. Red is okay. So like if the light on your alarm clock, it should be red. Don't get an alarm clock with blue on it. And a lot of the cheap lights nowadays are the LED lights because they're electrical efficient. So there's a very good chance you got blue light in your house unless you specifically get the old-time lights, incandescents or halogen. Okay. The other thing is look at your eyes. If the light's coming from the sun, it hits the bottom of the retina, and that's perceived as sunlight. If it's coming from a lamp on the ground, it hits the top of your retina, and that's perceived as being more like a fire. So in the evening, once I get done with my YouTube videos making these, I just have a little tiny lamp on the ground. I don't know if I could see it here. Hey, sweetheart, you want to unplug that lamp and hand it to me? Just unplug it and hand it to me. Okay, so here you can see my little lamp. This is what I have on the ground, and I use this at night to navigate my apartment, okay? Because and I have a little tiny bulb. Can you see the little tiny bulb in there? It's like 15 watts. That way I only use the minimum light, so I'm not I'm going to produce more melatonin. The less light you see at night, and the less blue light in particular, the more melatonin you're going to produce. In the daytime, each individual cell produces its own melatonin. But at night, the melatonin primarily comes from the pineal gland in the brain. It's another reason, too, you want to filter your water, because the fluoride in tap water damages the pineal gland and reduces its ability to produce melatonin at night, and that also can interfere with people's sleep. So filtering your water is a good thing to do. Okay. Another thing is you can get blue blocker glasses. So these are my blue blocker glasses, and I wear them most of the time at night. The key is that they have a yellow tint. It's the yellow tint that makes them for real. If they're clear, they're probably fake. Okay. And they do seem to help me. Because I had to do all these things, because I went through some phases where I really wasn't sleeping well, and it was interfering with my ability to work effectively. So I spent a long time reading. I read a whole bunch of stuff on sleep, and I watched all these sleep videos, and my sleep improved. It's still not as good as I want it to be, but it improved a lot. And you got to avoid unnecessary stress. I don't, there's always a lot of annoying people, but it's best to just avoid them. Most of the time. I don't want to get into needless bickering. What I want to do is write my books. I got 4 books written in my head. I want to sit down and write them. I don't have the time to do it. I'm not that interested in arguing. Like people say, well, why don't you, go back, interview with Bart Kay or some other BS artist. And I'm like, I don't want to spend my time doing that. My job is not to mud wrestle in the gutter. My job is to figure out advanced things about medicine. That's what actually interests me. Not, messing around with BS artists. Okay, so have your night as blue-free as possible. Dr. Moore Edie says the sunlight's about 1,000 times brighter than indoor light. So it's good to get some sunshine on your face in the morning because it helps set your circadian rhythms. You want bright light. As soon as you wake up, I put all these bright lights on. So I'm telling my brain knows, time to get up. So I wake up about the same time. Most people do every day in the morning because they work at the same time every day. So even on my days off, I usually wake up at about the same. So if you want to get more sleep, what it usually comes down to is going to bed early. You don't want to be sleep deprived because it drives up same hormones as psychological stress. Catecholamines like epinephrine, norepinephrine, which is the same thing as adrenaline, noradrenaline, and cortisol. Okay, cortisol is the be awake hormone. Okay, the sleep hormone is melatonin, and oxytocin is a little bit like it as well. Sort of like oxytocin and melatonin put together are the counterweight to cortisol, because all these hormones are like a seesaw. Okay, in the daytime, cortisol should be high, melatonin low. At night, melatonin high, cortisol low. That's the way you want it to be. Night shift jobs are a bad idea. You can do them up until you're 30 because you're so healthy, you got so much physiologic reserve. But people who keep doing night shift jobs after 30, they often end up with cancer, some type or other health problems because they're stressed out to the max from messing up their circadian rhythms. Okay, sunshine does lots of good things for you. Besides giving you vitamin D, it makes nitric oxide precursors to vasodilate your body. You'll sleep better at night with your circadian rhythms. Up until the modern era, people worked all day out in the sun, were designed to get a lot of sunshine, and did a lot of physical labor. Most people spent their life in agriculture. Ever since the beginning of recorded time, about 95% of people focused their day on agriculture, trying to get something enough to eat. Okay, there's a nice painting here. It's called The Three Riches by the Lindbergh brothers from 1416. Okay. All right, you want to have a daily routine. A good way to structure your day is to do whatever is intellectually challenging first thing when you wake up in the morning, like on your day off. Because your brain cleans itself at night with the glymphatic system. It filters itself. Your brain cells can't go offline in the daytime because you're awake. You got to be alert. But at night they can go offline, and you have to maintain precise ionic gradients, the perineuronal milieu, for your neurons to function effectively. But at night they can go offline, and like Victorians throwing their chamber pots of waste out into the street, your neurons can pump out their waste, and then the glymphatic system opens up the perivascular spaces of Virchow-Robin, which is just a fancy way of saying the cerebral spinal fluid spaces around the neurons. And the fluid rinses over the neurons. It's like rinsing them down with a hose at night. And it rinses away their waste products, so those can be reabsorbed through the venous system, the arachnoid granulations, and then right at perineuronal, there's other spots they can absorb them too around the spine and the spinal cord and whatnot. So anyways, that's how your brain cleans itself at night. So you're smartest in the morning. So as soon as I wake up, I always do the most difficult thing. Like writing a new book chapter is often a bit of a challenge. And then I'll start getting a little tired in the afternoon, let's say 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. And then I'll go walk on a treadmill, let's say for 2 hours, and I'll try to crank through a book real fast. Okay, that's kind of fun for me, and the book entertains me, so I can stay on that treadmill for 2 hours. Let's see. And then you don't need to be smart at night, because when you got a belly full of food, you don't need to be smart. You need to be smart when you wake up in the morning. So that's another reason why you're smart in the morning. You get a little surge of cortisol and catecholamines to give you the energy to go out and find food. Nighttime's a good time for socializing, for making the two-back beast, and going to sleep. It's kind of like the Roman soldier diet. You know, they march around, do a lot of work all day in the daytime, then at night make a fire, cook their food, eat a big meal, go to sleep at night. Okay, and that's the OMAD diet, 1 meal a day diet. But in a perfect world, if you got a lot of time, you might want to eat a lunch as well. I don't eat a lunch just because I don't want to bother with it. It's more efficient for me to do it all at night. But you look at a bodybuilder, they're going to eat a bunch of small meals all day because they want to keep their protein levels high. But, for the small gain they get from that, they pay a high price. I think the average professional bodybuilder I read one time dies at around 54 years of age. They don't live long. They end up with hip replacements, all kinds of problems. And lots of them end up with aortic valve disease, and I wonder if that's from squatting so much. Okay. Let's see, what else? Oh, what did I say here? It's nice to be with the Betty. She can cook for me. I like that. Oh yeah, but the only problem with it is they tend to empty your wallet. And I joke that the male vagina is a wallet. The woman loves to penetrate it. Deeper, deeper. Okay. So that was a typical daytime routine. Okay. Let's see. Oh, you just have a daily routine and your body gets used to it. That's normal. And also, when you maintain good circadian rhythms, your circadian rhythms for everything else will be better as well, going to the bathroom, etc. And they always exaggerate the risk of skin cancer from the sun. Those are non-fatal cancers, and they usually have lower risk of any other cancer afterwards. The dangers of the sun are totally exaggerated. Helps to sell sunscreen. Dermatologists themselves exaggerate it. Okay. Oh, they find that if people are in a hospital, the ones on the sunny side of the hospital, they have like almost 50% shorter length of stay. You want to be on the sunny side of the hospital coming into your room. Get that sunshine. In the old days, they used to have sun decks where they put the patients out in the sun on purpose, and they would do better in the TB sanitariums, for example. The modern world has lengthened the length of the day with all these artificial bulbs, especially blue light, and people sleep a lot less than they used to, and they're not as healthy. The current generation of men's got much lower testosterone, much lower sperm counts. Lack of sleep, excessive stress is part of that. Okay, we talked about setting your circadian rhythms in the morning. You got blue light sensors in your eye, so those blue light sensors, they're very much in tune with seeing that blue light. So you don't want blue light coming from your ceiling at night, and the worst is from the ceiling, so you never want a bright blue light, like a fluorescent light's got a lot of blue in it, and LED lights have a lot of blue in it, so they're the worst ones. It's harder to buy the incandescents and the halogens nowadays. Some places you can get them, but it's harder to get them. Okay. The sunlight also improves mitochondrial function. I think what's happening is that the red light can penetrate your body like over 8 centimeters, so pretty much from front to back, and it fluidizes the water in the mitochondrial matrix around your ATP synthase. That's what's thought to be what happened. Because remember, there's 4 phases of water. There's liquid water, there's gaseous water, vapor, there's ice, that's solid water, but there's also a gel phase. That's the 4th phase of water, and it goes from gel to being fluidized when red light reaches it, so it increases your ability to generate energy. That's what the current theory is. Okay, here's William Blake creating life in the oceans. And blue light penetrates deeper into the ocean than anything else. And so it's thought that the earliest forms of life recognized daytime by seeing that blue light. And this idea of blue light meaning daytime, it's not just in the human brain, it's in every animal on the planet thinks that way for setting its circadian rhythms. Okay. Oh, and then I heard this guy, Professor Jack Audie, and he says a cell, which is like the unit of life, is basically a banana in a bowl of milk with salt sprinkled on it. I thought that was kind of a clever metaphor. So basically, intracellular components of a cell are very high in potassium. So bananas are super high in potassium. So he says a human cell is like a banana. And then he jokingly says it's in a bowl of milk, high in calcium, with salt sprinkled into the milk. Because the extracellular matrix in the human body around your cells, on the outside of your cells, is like seawater. High in salt, the sprinkling of salt here, and high in calcium. So that's the joke with the milk. And the cells themselves are high in potassium. Okay, so that's one way you could remember that metaphor. That metaphor is super useful. If you're ever going to study physiology, you want to know that metaphor. My other metaphors where I gave the ions personalities, I actually think mine's better, but this is a good one. This is a good introductory metaphor. Okay, I talked about micromercurialism. Also, if you do have dental amalgams, you don't want to brush over them because that stirs up more mercury. You don't want to hold your cell phone to your face. That stirs up more mercury. The worst is brushing them with like a fluoride toothpaste. That stirs up more mercury. Okay. You don't want to use non-stick dental floss because that's got like Teflon on it, which is like a polymer or some other related non-stick cookware type of polymer, and those tend to have fluoride in them. So fluoride's toxic. Okay. Oh, this is just a picture showing the glymphatic system, how the waste products are reabsorbed into the, like say, superior sagittal sinus. These are arachnoid granulations, these little indentations that facilitate absorbing the neuronal waste products. And that's why you're smartest when you wake up in the morning. Here's just another picture of it in coronal cross-section. That you'll have lymphatics running through the meninges of the brain, the outer coverings of the brain, and arachnoid villi are these little indentations of the venous sinuses of the brain, and they facilitate the absorption of the waste products, okay? There's no lymphatics in the brain parenchyma itself. Okay, this is just, my little drawing showing that what happens is, these are the neurons right here. They look like little keys, and these little dark spots they look like little turds. Those are the neuronal waste products being pumped out by the neuron at night while you're asleep, and your brain cells can go offline. And then these perivascular spaces of Virchow-Robin, they follow along the arteries and veins. They'll open up and cerebral spinal fluid flows around them, flows across the brain tissue, and then rinses the waste products into the venous circulation, and then it's cleared. And so that's how the neurons clean themselves at night. Okay, so that's the key point, that your neurons clean themselves at night. Okay, I'm going to make that the end of part 1, and then I'll do a part 2, and I'll go through this whole long list of things that improve sleep. Okay, I hope you found that helpful.